One of my favorite inspirational speakers always says that clarity is power. It's like his little mantra, like clarity is power. And so much of what I hear you saying is, clarity. Just that alone would change an entrepreneur's life who doesn't have clarity on that, because you get to pull things apart. I remember this one situation. It came to my mind as you were talking, where someone asked me one time, this was probably 10 years ago now, maybe 12 years ago. He said, what does it cost to live your dream life? And I had no idea, but I wanted to sound like I knew. So I was like, $400,000 a month. I'm like, I don't remember exactly the number. It was like some crazy number, right? I was just like, I don't know, like my dream life, it's probably a lot. And he's like, are you sure? And he like just kind of questioned me for a second. And I was like, yeah, I think so. Are you sure? He's like, I want you to go home tonight. I want you to write out everything. And this is really just more a story about clarity, right? And write out everything, write out what the payments would cost on that car, on that beach house, on that man. And like, I couldn't get above, like, at this time of my life. Now I could do higher now, but at this point I couldn't get above like 40K a month. I was like, I don't know. That's like the car. It's like 3 houses, one on the ocean, one on the... And it just helped me. It really reinforced what I feel like you're so much about, which is like when you have clarity, you're not just there spinning your wheels for no reason, which so many of us do as entrepreneurs. Super guilty of that. Like more just equals more, because more is better. It's kind of what we're taught to understand. And so, why, this is a little bit of a sidebar question. I wasn't planning on asking it actually, but like, why are so many entrepreneurs, I mean, you deal with these people all the time. So like, it's getting me to question, like, why are we like that? Like, why are we like more is better, period? When the truth is, I might need 6 deals, the right deals, and then that might be everything I need, like based on my goals. Any thoughts on that question? It's like an emotional question. Not trying to take this away from the numbers, but why is that just a personality thing, or in your experience, where does that come from?
Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the can of worms, because the emotional side, money is emotional. So it's like you say, taken away from that. Well, no, when we work with people, like, it's very emotional, because a lot of people have garbage from their past. It could be parents, how they were raised. If they didn't have good examples, if they had no example of money and like what to be taught. Also, too, just, okay, open up your phone right now. How many ads do you get bombarded with if you go on Facebook, Instagram, if you're in your email, if you're breathing, you're going outside, the billboards, it's like, especially in America, the American dream, the bigger car, keeping up with the Joneses, like even from back, that statement from way back when, it's like, that is how our civilization and our society is built, of more, more, more. We're recording this like right after Christmas. It's like, how many Christmas ads did you see for all the new stuff, the new toys, the new things, and they're marketing to everyone? And it's like, it's just our whole society is built like that, of more, more, more. And that's where so many people get caught up in that, where as a business owner, we take that in, and how does it manifest? More deals equals more money, and I'll be okay. As long as I just do one more deal, as long as that deal closes and doesn't get pushed back or whatever, we'll be fine. And that mentality is what keeps us stuck in the rat race, our own rat race in our life, because we're just force fed all the rat race of like, you should want more, you should want all this stuff, you should want the fancier stuff. Am I saying it's all wrong? No. But I'm saying there has to be a point where, like you said, getting clarity. Where am I at the stage of my life now? What do I really want from my life? And what does that really take? If I do want, $100,000 a month, am I willing to put the work in and time? Do I have a family? Do I not have a family? Do I have, people in my life that depend on me outside of this? Am I a part of, an organization and like a charity or something where that takes time too? So I can't give 100%, just to the business. Or are you like, no, I could give 100% here. I could go all in, and I could just put my nose to the grind, and I can, for the next 2 years, 3 years, just really blow this thing up and get to that level. It's like, you have to take that step back. But we're just force fed that a lot. That's how a lot of us have grown up. Or, we've got all these bad money mindsets that we're given, and some of them help and hurt us. It's like, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, how many of us heard that statement growing up from parents or people in our life? Yeah, exactly. Me too. It's like, we all hear those types of things, and it gives us different influences around money. And that sometimes motivates people of like, well, I'm just going to make so much that it doesn't matter if it grows on trees or not. I'm going to grow the money trees myself. Or like, people think they have the limiting beliefs, like money is scarce and now I can't go out there and do it. It's like, there's so many different factors, but I think ultimately it's just what is pumped into us on a daily basis. You should want more stuff. And that spills over where a lot of people in business have not gone through maybe a personal finance course or haven't had any financial education. And if you don't have anything whatsoever, you're just going with the best, your best money mindsets that you've got up to that point. And if you haven't had any, it's like, well, this sounds good today. I think I'll do it, or I'll spend the money, or like everyone says just to spend more money, right? And then it'll come back and it's just playing Russian roulette with your own money and finances. So I think those are some of the reasons why we get stuck in our own rat race as entrepreneurs and why we just keep going on that income train.
So is it a recommendation? I want to break this down to an action step for the audience that I think could be helpful, but if you think this, like, is part of, let me back up here for a second. I think I encounter more people now than I feel like I used to. And maybe this is because I'm traveling more. So I'm meeting like Westerners that are in like other countries. And then like the conversation that a lot of times ensues is pretty much what you just shared, which is like a little bit of like fed up with this like capitalistic, not that it's anti-capitalism, but like, hey, like we get it in the West. It's just that more and more and more. It's the keeping up with the Joneses. And there's like a little, not distrust isn't the right word, but like kind of like satiation, like, okay, been there, done that. So how does somebody snap out of that? So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I encounter more people that are kind of in this boat of like, did the more thing, didn't work for me, but they're kind of like trying to figure out what is next. I mean, is it as simple as taking a week-long meditation and being like, asking those questions you want? I mean, how would you coach someone out of that mentality that's kind of in that, like, okay, go figure out what you want, go write it down, go put the costs next to it, and then let's come to someone like you and let's get clear on is that it? Is that the process? Is that the action item for someone who's maybe listening to this and they're like, man, I get what you're saying. Because I'll be honest, man, I'm listening to you talk right now and I'm personally feeling like the things you're sharing. I'm like, oh, I feel that for me. Like, that's what I'd like. My wife will regularly say to me, so Sam, when is enough? And I'll be like, I have no answer for her. I do not have an answer for her. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, and I just set a bigger goal, right? I put a bigger jet. Like I've got a Falcon 50 on my wall. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't even know how much that costs, but it's just there because it's like the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But So to bring this down, I'm rambling a little bit, but to bring this down to something, if someone's listening to this and saying, okay, cool, I'm a little dissatisfied with that machine. And there's a lot of those. I mean, I'm 32 and I'm there's a certain piece of me that's dissatisfied with that. How do I break out of that? Like, yes, know my numbers, but how do I break out of that mentality? What do I do to get that clarity for me?
What we tell people, and when I go out and speak, I always tell them the number one thing is like what we did with that guy that I was telling you about before. His name was Joey. For that client, that we get very clear, that clarity again. It's really sitting down and how much do you really need? Why is that? I have a little form like at the end here, if you want, I give this form of like, here's the Profit First cheat sheet. And one of them is how to find your keep number. It's 6 questions. Like, it should be simple. You should go through it with your spouse and like be on the same page with money, because it's not when you get to a certain point, you realize it's not about the money, but it's about how we interact with everything in our life. I've taken Profit First, not just in the money sense, but in my calendar. What matters to me during the week? I want to put time with my wife and daughter on there before I put in work. And I want to put working out. Where's working out going to be in there? Because I want my health to be good, and I want to be here for a long time. And I have to make sure if I have speaking engagements or I have things like that is on the calendar, but my priorities are right. So it's like, what really matters to me, and where am I? This is the key question though. Where am I in this stage of life? What have I committed to? If I have a wife and a daughter, then I've committed to them. I do not want, I heard this statement, this kicked me in the rear. I want to make sure I really am doing it for them. Like a lot of entrepreneurs say, I'm doing this for them instead of to them. But a lot of entrepreneurs do it to their spouses and to their children. So it's like getting them on the page with you. Okay, I'm going to be traveling this much. This is what it would bring in an income. And this is where I think we can be. Is this what is going to fulfill us as a family this year? I could spend every week traveling, busting my butt, just going out on the road, but I've got a family. I don't want to do that to my 7-year-old little girl. I don't want to do that to my wife. And it's like, I am where I am at this stage of life, but I want to make sure that my priorities are lined up. So those questions are like, How much do you need to support your lifestyle as it stands today? And what are those things in your life? Like, what is important to you? And some people call that vision and goal planning. And there are a lot of different ways that people spin it, your why, your purpose, all that different type of stuff. But it's really getting very clear on where I am in the stage of life, because things change. Just because right now you might have a young kid at home, or you've got, people that are out of your, grown and out of your house, it doesn't matter. It's more of, where am I now? If I've got young kids at home, then I don't want to be gone as much. But if I've got older teenagers or people or grown adult children, well, then I probably can travel a lot more, and I could probably make more, or I can be smarter with what I'm doing with my, with the time that I have here. But like, when it just depends of where you are in that stage of life. But I would, those first steps is, like you said, get clarity on what that means for me today. And are the people that I've chosen to put in my life okay with this? What, do you have a mentor you would run it by? Would you, like, if people work with us, running it by your CFO, like, does that make sense? And do we think we can actually achieve that with this business without me being gone 70, 80, 90, 100 hour, a week? Do I have the right people in place? And if I were to hire them, what does that mean? And what does that mean to the bottom line, so I can put that in dollars and cents? And that's where getting that clarity, like we talked about, is now specific to you. Just most people pick a number out of their rear and just say, oh, that sounds good. And, like, that's what I'm wanting to do. But they don't tie it to where I am in this stage of life. And if 5 years from now, what does that look like? If I have a 7-year-old daughter now, what does 12 years old look like? Does that look like I'm traveling more for myself, or does it mean I'm traveling more and putting her in different things and extracurricular things, and I want to be there for soccer games or volleyball, or like the different things that might be going on then? So it's like, okay, how do I set that up now for then as well too? So it's just getting clear on who you are and where you are in your stage of life, and tying that to the money. That's where it could give you that stories after story of, that's why once entrepreneurs learn how to keep the money and what those numbers are, it's a lot easier then to plan, to be able to say, what could I really do with what I've built and the engine I have? Then you can ask yourself those better questions. Is my engine really serving me? Is this the right engine? Do I need to pivot? Is there better things out there where it's like I could have a better life, just a better quality of life every day? Like, are you commuting? Are you not commuting? Is there like stuff that's eating up your life right now that you hate? And how can we get out of that? And if you're an entrepreneur specifically, are your numbers really supporting where you want to be? And if not, how do we get there to that goal? So it's getting very clear on where you are.